Hello everybody and welcome to episode 10 of building an Imperial Refinery in LEGO. We have officially hit double digits on the series, which is amazing. Anyways, the progress I got done in this episode is mostly on the base, completing the entire second story, which is really awesome, and that includes a barracks for the stormtroopers, which I am super happy with. So without further ado, let's get straight into the progress. Taking a look at the interior of the base, starting off with this left side. Overall, this left side of the progress seems pretty basic and simple, just being the area for the lift to pass through and a door onto the room over there. But this actually had to be a lot more complicated than just that. Because of how thick all the floors will be, it'll be a 3-thick platform pretty much for each floor and ceiling of the MOC to add nice depth and detail on both the ceiling and the floor. And I had to make this, structurally sound. I just have this support pillar here, temporarily, just so it doesn't get any flex. But as you can see, it is very little dip when I take it out. It's only about half a plate to a plate, and that is really not bad for how much brick is in this whole thing. And on top of that, I had to design the gap for the lift to come up through. Sadly, how I designed it, it is the exact same shape and almost the exact same dimensions. The slopes here had to be swapped from pointing that way to pointing that way, and vice versa with the other side. The problem with that is, for some reason, they have just a little bit off when you do that, so the lift does not actually fit in this gap, and if it did, I can push it, but it makes this flex out too much, which is a problem for design purposes, but overall it's not a big deal because I don't think this will actually have the lift in it. The only problem with the design being off is that I will have to redesign it again for the very top layer, because I do want the lift to be able to fit onto the top platform to make it a smooth, full platform. Now, this pile of crates is not very special other than this one detail right here, which I am super glad I included. It is something I designed for this MOC in this episode's time period, just because I wanted something fun to liven up the MOC, and it's a little arcade machine that has the 501st colors with this 501st helmet on top, and then it actually has these stickers that I cut out of a sticker sheet, and it's 66, and it's kind of a Order 66 arcade machine is what I'm going for, and I think it's kind of a funny reference to kind of a tragic turn of events, but it's an Imperial base, and, stormtroopers might want to, execute Order 66. So, thought that was a really fun detail that I included. And if I take a closer look at the arcade machine itself, this is a pretty cool design in my opinion, and there are a few details that really don't need to be included to make the arcade machine, such as the helmet, which is just placed on top, and the 2 stickers I put on the front to make the 66, and those are really details that are very unneeded. But the rest of the build is actually not too complicated. It's more just about connecting everything in such a small space that was difficult. So, taking it apart, I won't do a full like tutorial on how to build this, but I will kind of show all the components. So the controls, I have this one control panel and this lever, which I took out the actual lever piece and put it in the bottom, which allows you to get this kind of joystick-like thing. And that just goes into a snot brick, the control panel on a headlight brick. And underneath you can see just some more snot bricks, and then some of this 2-plate tall snot brick, which I have connected a stack of various wedge plates on top of to get the nice angles and color differences. And then from there, this top piece is an inverted tile with a cheese slope connected by a clip and a bracket to another bracket down here. It took me a while to figure that part out. I had to think outside of the box and use this illegal technique to connect the inverted tile, but it isn't too bad, and it definitely works for my usage. And then the screen is very simple. It is also a loose piece, which consists of 2 hands, any color, and then a 2x2 tile, and it just slides right behind the cheese slope, and the hands keep it from scooching back. And the forward movement is stopped by the control panel, so once you get it all put together, it can't really slip forward or back, and it stays as one solid arcade machine. Other than that, this is a pretty undetailed area of the MOC, but if we move through this door here to the other side, you reach a barracks area, which is probably, at this point, my favorite part of the MOC, just because of all the little details I was able to include in this room. Starting off with the left wall with the door, there is a gun rack with just Lego blasters, because I don't even have enough E11s for my stormtroopers, so decided to go with Lego's version. And I really like how this gun rack turned out. I think it's pretty nice, and it fits into the room overall. And then I also have this rocket launcher rack with 2 rocket launchers. These are the clone rocket launchers, which are not too different in looks from the Imperial rocket launchers, but they are like smaller and more compact looking than the Imperials. But I don't think it really matters, and it's just a little gun rack in the corner, so I will leave the clone rocket launchers on there, at least until I find something else to put in this little area, which I actually did find something to fill the gap between that rack and the door, which is this little Imperial flag that I made, which is kind of just a small version of the big banner, and I really like this design. It's nice and small and fits just perfectly next to a minifigure. It's like just the right height. And it's pretty simple. It's just a 2x4 with some 2x2 tiles and a jumper plate with this little Imperial 1x1 round tile, and then a clip at the top connected to one of the T-bars, and a clip with a rod connector, or rod hole, I guess, with a 4-long rod, and then going down to a 1x1 stud with a hole in it, and then I put a 1x2 rounded plate at the bottom because it would not stand up on its own without a stud. Moving just over here, I have this table, which is based off of really nothing. I just liked the round design of these little stools and thought a round table would match. And it's kind of a weird design. I don't really know, like, it isn't based off of anything, but I definitely had an idea of like a Star Wars table. I swear I've seen this kind of leg design in some mock. And right behind the table is one of my favorite parts of this room, being the bunk beds. Now, I am really happy with this design, and if we take a closer look at it, you can see it is a pretty simple design that is pretty much the same from bottom bunk to top bunk. The top one just having an ingot and this ladder and inverted slope on the bottom. So I will just be taking a look at the bottom bunk, which is made just using plates and tiles for this cot piece, and a jumper plate to attach the pillow, which I used an ingot for to kind of differentiate what the pillow and the actual bed or sheets are. And I am attaching it to the wall using this 2x2 plate, and to make the frame I used 3 of these inverted bracket pieces, the bottom one having an ingot to add a little more shape to the bed, and then I connected a 1x6 tile with this 1x4 bracket piece to fill in that remaining gap. And because this is a floating design, I space it off the ground slightly anyway, so those studs do not get in the way. They are still half a plate off the ground for my design for the wall. And then I spaced the beds apart about 2 bricks and 2 plates, I believe, or somewhere around 3 bricks apart if you include the pillow and the bracket, and that looks something about like that. Definitely not minifigure scale gaps in between, and it doesn't really allow a minifigure to sit on the bottom bunk, and with the small ceiling or low ceiling, they can't sit on the top bunk either. So the whole room kind of limited my scale for these cots or beds, and so I had to come up with something slightly under minifig scale, but that still looked close enough to be a nice design. The additional details in this bedding area consist of these computers at the left side of each bottom bunk, as well as these storage containers at the foot of each bed, which are for the stormtroopers' personal belongings, but some of them have a little too many belongings, and they are hiding them under the beds, which I think is kind of a funny detail to add. That is all the progress I have on the interior of the base, but I did get this dark bluish gray wall built up, which I'm considering tearing down and adding something inside of it, but I really kind of need to use it for support and storage for the battery boxes, so I feel like it's better just to keep it blank. Let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on this wall, whether I should just keep it blank and add extra support and room for my battery boxes, or if I should add in some kind of other room. It could be an addition to the barracks, it could be some kind of industrial use room, or even an Easter egg like this over here, which is a little bit of terrain work that I was able to work in with the remaining dark orange and medium nougat and tan pieces I had. Pretty much used up the rest of the slopes to create this little cave that has a spider and a Spider-Man mask, as well as this really cool design for a spider egg, which is, or the like spider egg cluster, and it is using the cast piece, which is fairly new, I believe, the hand cast, and just connected it to a clip and wedged the second one on the other one between the ceiling, and it turned out looking pretty cool. So this Easter egg was just kind of to make this whole wall less blank, and I think it definitely adds a little pop of color. Sadly, that is all the progress I have for this episode, but I have 2 additional things to talk about. The first of which is the fact that I will be skipping another episode of the series and replacing it with a tutorial or a mock video. Let me know down in the comments on that too, whether you'd want to see a tutorial or a mock. I plan on doing both in the near future, but whichever one you guys choose will be the first one released. And on top of the skip for next episode, I will be ordering a ton of pieces for this mock again, and it should allow me to complete the base, that 3rd story, and probably get close to finishing the landing platform with all those pieces, but also be able to finish the terrain off and at least get the pillars for the pit done. Now, this does mean that this portion of the mock, the first half, which will be more like the first 2/3 of the mock, will actually be completed pretty soon. My guess is probably around 3 to 4 more episodes until this portion is done, and then I will take probably about a month break, and then start work on the next 1/3 of the mock, probably only taking about 4 episodes for that portion as well. Anyways, that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing with notifications on so you don't miss any more amazing content that I will be releasing in the near future. So, stay tuned for the upcoming episodes of building an Imperial Refinery in LEGO, and see you guys in the next video.